6:15, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has inspected farms using organic fertilizer cultivation in Kuliyapitiya, Udubaddewa area this morning. COVID preventive measures for religious places has been issued. The construction work of the Sandhigiri Saya will be completed by the end of this month. Provincial train operations begin from the 25th of this month. Son of Bambalapitiya businessman linked to Galit scam remanded. In news overseas, record high migrant detentions at US-Mexico border. Those were the headlines, and now more on the details of the local news. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has inspected farms using organic fertilizer for their cultivation in Kuliyapitiya, Udubaddewa area this morning. With the banning of the chemical fertilizer importation, the Ministry of Agriculture has taken measures to direct farmers towards organic fertilizer cultivation activities. He also observed these cultivations and exchanged views with the farmers on the success of the organic cultivation. The president requested the farmers to take decisions intelligently without getting caught for provocations. Some chemical fertilizer companies are trying to confuse the farmers through various forces. He also stated that he is not afraid of those forces. It is important to educate farmers on organic fertilizer cultivation in order to safeguard the future generation. The president reiterated that his aim is to create green agriculture. He also observed the 13 acres of land which cultivated vegetables and fruits with the use of organic fertilizer in the Udubaddewa area. He was engaged in this tour in order to encourage the farmers. Director General of Health Services issued preventive measures that should be adhered to at religious places during the pandemic in a bid to protect the clergy, staff, worshippers and others from COVID-19 infection. In a communique issued to all Deputy Director Generals, Provincial and Regional Directors of Health Services and other relevant health officials, Dr. Asela Gunawardena stated that there should not be overcrowding outside and inside the places of worship, entrance, lobbies, waiting areas, preaching halls and prayer halls. As per the guidelines, the number of persons allowed to enter the places of worship should be according to the number of persons that can be placed at least 1 meter apart on any preaching hall or other prayer halls. However, the maximum number should not exceed 50 persons, the Health Services Chief noted. The construction of the Sandhigiri Saya will be completed by the end of this month. Navy Commander Vice Admiral Nishantha Uligetana engaged in an observation tour in Anuradhapura to look into the construction work of the Viharaya. He has advised the members of the Navy to expedite the construction work. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. A group of journalists engaged in an observation tour today at the project of organic fertilizer cultivation carried out by the Army. This program was initiated under the Saubhagya Dakma National Program. Organic fertilizer crop cultivation is being carried out in Andiyar Kulam and Manik Farm areas. This tour has been organized by the Government Information Department. The 25-year-old who was arrested in connection with the garlic scam has been remanded until the 26th of October after being produced before the Vattala Magistrate Court earlier today. The Criminal Investigation Department apprehended the youth on suspicion of aiding and abetting the pilferage of garlic consignment weighing up to 54,000 kilograms by forging documents. The arrestee was identified as the son of the businessman from Bambalapitiya who was taken into custody on suspicion of purchasing the 2 container loads of garlic valued over 11 million rupees, which was unlawfully removed from Sathosa. The 55-year-old businessman was placed under arrest earlier this month. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has inspected the farms using organic fertilizer cultivation in Kuliyapitiya, Udubaddewa area this morning. COVID preventive measures for religious places has been issued. The construction work of the Sandhigiri Saya will be completed by the end of this month. Provincial train operations begin from the 25th of this month. Son of Bambalapitiya businessman linked to the garlic scam remanded. And that was the local news.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vidya Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya.
The main news story for this evening, General Manager of Railways, Dhammika Jasundara, said that provincial train operations will be conducted from the 26th of this month. Accordingly, 133 railway trains and turns are scheduled to be implemented. He further stated that only persons who have obtained the monthly rail season tickets can travel. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vidya Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And now in Watchlight.
And in Watchlight this evening, most individuals have paid attention on COVID, dengue and other high fatal diseases. There is a high risk of rat fever among farmers as they are engaged in paddy cultivation activities these days. Our correspondent said that 300 rat fever patients have been reported in the Galle district this year. Information on how to guard against this disease can be obtained from all public health inspectors in each area. And that came to you in Watchlight.
World News.
Headlines of the world news: record high migrant detentions at US-Mexico border. UN envoy says situation in Myanmar increasingly dire. UK ministers pledge £500 million to support young families at the budget 2021. And now we move on to the details of the world news. The US says more than 1.7 million migrants were detained along its border with Mexico in the past 12 months, the highest number ever recorded. More than 1 million of them were expelled to Mexico or their native countries, according to data from US Customs and Border Protection. Agents apprehended people from more than 160 countries. President Joe Biden's popularity in polls has been sinking partly as a result of his immigration policy. Just 35% of Americans said they approved his handling of this issue in an Associated Press Nog Center for Public Affairs research survey earlier this month. The UN Special Envoy to Myanmar has urged the international community to take concrete steps to resolve the country's deteriorating situation. Christine Bergener spoke on Friday at a virtual meeting of the Third Committee of the UN General Assembly, which deals with human rights issues. She said military crackdown on citizens continue since the coup in February, and a number of people in need of humanitarian assistance has tripled to 3 million. Bergener said casualties are rising as violence intensifies following the call from the pro-democracy forces last month for a revolt against the military rule. Ministers are to fund a network of family hubs in England as part of a £500 million package to support parents and children. The centres in 75 different areas will provide a one-stop shop support and advice for the government said. The funding, to be announced by the Chancellor on Wednesday's budget, will also go towards breastfeeding advice and mental health services. Labour called the plans as a smokescreen for failing to deliver for families. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Record high migrant detentions at US-Mexico border. UN envoy says situation in Myanmar increasingly dire. UK ministers pledge £500 million to support young families at the budget 2021. And that was the world news.
And now in development news.
In development news, a new project has been implemented to conserve the sensitive environmental zones under the observation of the Ministry of Environment. Manava, Gangewadiya, Eluvankulama and Galnava areas have been identified as sensitive environmental zones. The Ministry of Environment has also initiated a program to conserve rivers under the Surakhimugaga program. And that came to you in the segment of development news.
Sports news.
Moving on to sports news, the T20 match of the World Championship tournament is being played between South Africa and Australia. Batting first, South Africa scored 118 runs for the loss of 9 wickets. Australia has scored 37 runs for 2 wickets a short while ago. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency through NSB U Trust for 6 months consecutively. Send more money and increase the chances of winning.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, Lanka Salt Company has made a pre-tax profit of 165 million rupees during the first 10 months of this year. Chairman of the Lanka Salt Company, Nishanta Sandabadaran, said that the company, which had incurred a loss of 262 million rupees earlier, was able to make profit within 2 years. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners.
And in economic news, the Sri Lanka Pavilion continued to attract large number of visitors to the Expo 2020, result of the concerted efforts of Sri Lanka Tourism along with partners to date, Export Development Board, Ceylon Tea Board, Sri Lankan Airlines, Consulate of Dubai, and with the excellent and willing cooperation of the ambassadors of the United Arab Emirates, Sri Lanka Tourism said in a statement. Expo 2020 Dubai, a prestigious global event, commenced on the 1st of October and will run until the 31st of March 2022. That is economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, brings Nanasa app, a trilingual educational mobile app for online learning with video-based lessons from grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with the Nanasa app. No subscription fees. Download via Google Play Store, App Store, Huawei Store or Windows. Dialogue, the future today.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the eastern, Uva, North Central, Central and Sabaragamuwa provinces during the evening or night. A few showers are likely in the western and south coastal areas during the morning. Misty condition can be expected at some places in the Central, Sabaragamuwa, Western and Uva provinces during the morning hours too. And that was the weather report.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, brings Nanasa app, a trilingual educational mobile app for online learning with video-based lessons from grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with the Nanasa app. No subscription fees. Download via Google Play Store, App Store, Huawei Store or Windows. Dialogue, the future today.
And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has inspected farms using organic fertilizer cultivation in Kuliapitiya Udubadewa area this morning. COVID preventive measures for religious places has been issued. The construction work of the Sandagiri Saya will be completed by the end of this month. Provincial train operations will begin from the 25th of this month. Son of Babalpitiya businessman linked to garlic scam remanded. And in news overseas, record high migrant detentions at US-Mexico border.